Hi, welcome back to Brass. This is the second of 3 videos concerning the Paycheck Protection Program, which is a part of the CARES Act, which was made law on March 27th, 2020. This is to incentivize small businesses and to help them get people back to work. And the general period that it is intended to cover goes from now until June 30th of 2020. Applications for these loans can be made up until that time. See my first video, and I'll put the link below, which details the maximum loan amount and who is eligible. In addition to the types of businesses, it also includes tribal businesses, and it also includes not-for-profits, 501c3. So check that video out for who is eligible and the loan amounts. In this video, I'm going to cover the general terms of the loan, the deferment part, and then the third video is all about the loan forgiveness. It's important for you to look at all 3 because I believe that the bankers are going to be requesting some of the information pertaining to the loan forgiveness earlier than when you might apply for it, because they have additional requirements and things that they need to fulfill. And I just anticipate as a bank attorney that they're going to be asking for some of that earlier. So if you kind of have a heads up on what you're going to need, help you complete your application and for you to gauge whether this is the best bet for you or whether you should apply for the other relief under the SBA programs for disaster relief. And then under this CARES Act, there were also some grants available. I will do videos on those here as well, but I first want to get these completed. So the general terms of the loans that will be extended under this program, it's a modification to the 7A SBA loan. So you want to probably go to an SBA 7A lender who's already approved, because they're going to be able to do this probably a lot faster. The SBA website, sba.gov, has sample application information on it if you want to take a look at it, but you will not apply with the SBA directly. You will apply with a traditional lender, and then this loan is going to contain an SBA guarantee. It's going to be insured. That helps the bank. And then, as I mentioned, there's a deferment period for payments, and there is a forgiveness portion also on this whole loan package. If you receive one of these loans, then your covered period is going to be the time that your loan is made when it's approved for a period of 8 weeks. So anytime I say covered period, it's from when everybody's might be different. It's going to be from when your loan is made for 8 weeks. So it's 2 months, not calendar month, but from the date that it's made. And that's important for some of these different requirements. The loans are going to be for a 2-year maturity at a 0.5% interest rate. Now, as I get into this, you'll hear about the deferment and then the forgiveness part. Forgiveness cannot be more than the principal amount of the loan. So there will be a requirement that you pay the interest, but like I said, the interest rate is a 0.5%. So if you're able to follow all of these other requirements and get some people back to work or maintain your operations, you're going to be all the better for it. And the idea of all of this is to get people back to work and to help support small business. The information I'm going to give you here as far as what payments can be used for is a little bit different than what was required in the requirements for you to determine the loan amount. You don't have to only pay payroll through this, but as I get to some of these, the payroll component is important, and they want the business owners to get money to the employees. There were some other questions about this that I fielded from some other people, and so once I get through all of this, I may do another video on some various questions. There is no prepayment penalty applicable to this. So either if you don't apply for forgiveness or it's not available, or you otherwise receive a loan, you get back to work, things are great, there's no prepayment penalty for any of this. In order to apply, you are going to need documentation, and then the lenders are going to have a standard loan application, either written out or guidelines on what you're going to need. It is presumed that any business that applies for this loan is qualified generally if it was in business on February 15th, 2020. If you were in business on that day, based upon the COVID-19 situation, you are presumed to be eligible. There is no collateral required. There is no personal guarantee to the lenders. Further, the SBA will not have any recourse against any shareholders, partners, members of the entity, or if it's a sole proprietor or independent contractor, you can also apply for these loans. There's no recourse back so long as payments are made for the prescribed basis on which the loan is made. You're not going to have any recourse by the SBA either. In addition, there are no fees that are going to be charged in connection with the application or the funding of the loan. There are fees that can be charged by preparers who help you prepare the application if you need help doing that, and those limits are the same as they are always, so those have not changed. But that would be the only fee that you would pay in connection with this loan if you seek the assistance of someone to help you prepare the application. Also, you do not have to show that you can't get a loan elsewhere. And if you received an emergency loan earlier this year in 2020 that is not related to payroll expenses, you can still apply for this loan as well. In addition to just completing the information on the name of the business, the location of the business, and its eligibility, and that you're applying for the loan, you're going to give that basic information. Then you're also going to have to certify to the lender in connection with this application the information to qualify for the loan amount, which I have in video number 1. And then you're also going to have to certify these 4 things: that the current economic condition makes it necessary for you to borrow money to support your ongoing operations for your business. Number 2, you're going to acknowledge that the funds you receive under a loan, if it is extended to you, will be used to retain workers, to maintain payroll, or to make mortgage, rent, or utility payments for your business. The third thing that you're going to certify is that you do not have an application pending for a similar loan for these amounts or for these purposes. And finally, so that's going to be part of your loan application process, and most likely that's going to be a document that you check off yes or no and sign for the lender. And then, to be clear, if you received the economic injury disaster loans, which are available on the SBA website, that's just a point and click and fill it out online. If you received one of those from January 31st, 2020 forward, and it was not for payroll, you can still apply for this new Paycheck Protection Program loan. Because there's not any guarantee, there's not going to be personal financial statements. Because there's no collateral, there won't be valuation or inventories or anything like that. And in the law which set out this program, it provided that need is presumed. So the only 2 things that are going to be considered by the lender is whether or not you're eligible, your business is eligible, and what the amount that you might receive is. Lenders, SBA 7A lenders, and I presume other lenders could jump in on this also, but they can be either a financial institution, a bank, or a credit union. I can say this on the first video: make sure that when you're including the payroll in the application, it's limited to $100,000 annually for any person. So also in your payroll figures that you're providing in your application, you do not include federal withholding or federal payroll taxes, Social Security and Medicare, for purposes of the application and the amount that is going to be considered. And categorizing the amount when calculating whether or not you fit in the 500 employee category for eligibility, that includes full-time, part-time, and other. So occasional or one-off type of employees. So all of them are considered in determining whether you're eligible with the 500 employee cutoff per location. And there are exceptions for the category 72 employers as I set out, and I list all of those types of businesses in Part 1. Also, franchises are included as a separate category, not including with all of the other franchises. Just your franchise is a single business for purposes of the loan. There is no recourse by the SBA either for repayment of the loan, so long as the funds are not misused. If you apply for forgiveness of part of the loan and all or part of it is not forgiven, remember I told you that the basic term of the loan is 2 years. So for any part that is not forgiven, that is now the maturity will be extended out for 10 years from the time of forgiveness of part of it, and the interest rate will be assigned not to exceed 4%. So it's a 0.5% interest rate from the time of disbursement up until there is a deferral or forgiveness, and then after any forgiveness determination is made, and that's a separate process I'll put on a separate video because it's kind of lengthy. You have an application process there, a 60-day period for the bank to tell you yes or no, and then if there is forgiveness on only part of it, then the balance will be paid. It will be due in 10 years. That will be the maturity. It'll probably be amortized out, and at an interest rate, whatever the bank decides, but no more than 4%. Now, as you apply for these loans, there is a deferment available because you might have a question, well, I'm going to apply, I don't have any money right now, we haven't been working, and we've been using money to prop up what we can. How are we going to repay this loan right away? There is available to you a deferment of the payment under the loan, and here's how that works. If your business was in operation on February 15 of 2020 and you have an application pending for this loan, or your application is pending approval, then you can apply for deferment. It might be possible that when you apply for the loan, you go ahead and apply for deferment. Again, for purposes of the deferment, you're presumed to be economically adversely impacted by the COVID-19. So it's a given that if you ask for it, you're eligible as long as those other qualifications are met, that you're in business on February 15, 2020, and you have applied for the loan. You need to apply for the deferment at some point during the covered period. And again, the covered period is 8 weeks from when the loan is made. So you'll apply for the deferment at the beginning. If you apply for it at the beginning, then once the loan is granted and dispersed, your deferment would start at the beginning. Deferment is available for not less than 6 months and not more than 1 year. And deferment is available for principal and interest. So no payment of principal or interest for at least 6 months if you are eligible and you apply. The deferment, to be clear, is not a forgiveness of the payments or the interest. It's just deferring it. So interest will accrue on the principal amount dispersed at the rate of 0.5% while you are not having to pay it back. So it will just accumulate. And then if you're eligible, you can apply for the forgiveness. Are eligible to apply for forgiveness in an amount equal to that portion of the loan that you use to pay payroll costs and all of that encompasses, a covered mortgage, which is interest payments on a mortgage that the business had already in effect on February 15 of 2020 and that were paid during this period, rent payments for a lease that was in effect already on February 15 of 2020. And utilities for purposes of this includes payments for service for gas, electricity, water, transportation, phone, and internet. And the forgiveness is available for those costs that were paid those eligible costs that were paid during the covered period. So whatever you paid in wages, salaries, payroll taxes, the eligible utilities, mortgage interest, and rent from the time that the loan is made, then you can receive forgiveness of that amount. If you're able to hire people back during that period of time and increase your payroll and therefore wipe out the total amount of the loan, it is possible then for you to receive this money, pay employees, pay your mortgage, pay your rent, pay your utilities, pay your staff, and not have to pay this money back. And for the 8 weeks, it's getting us approximately into June, that they're hoping that that is going to give everyone enough time, 2 months, to get their cash flow going again and to be able to stand back up on their own. This video number 2 on the Paycheck Protection Program from the CARES Act, which was enacted March 27, 2020. If this was helpful, if you learned something, give me a thumbs up. Share this with someone it might benefit if they have any questions. And if you need to, if I talk too quickly and you want to go back and watch it again, you can click on the CC on the closed caption, and it will show what I'm saying to you as I'm talking, if that helps you. Okay? Thanks for watching. Subscribe to our video for other videos. This is the Big Brass.